Don in London, hello. December 22nd, my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance was alcohol. My behaviour could be equally addictive towards people, places, things, collecting, obsessing, trying to be right, maybe trying to be perfect, although I never actually went that far in my own thinking about my situation, but I was always trying. Very trying person, and trying to fit in. So I was a bit like a chameleon. If you wanted me to be a certain way, I would probably adopt that attitude and behaviour to an extent, although there are some fundamental principles still underneath which have always been there, and sometimes those principles have gone by the wayside simply because I became addicted to alcohol. And then, I don't know when I crossed the line, and it became an absolute necessity. Fairly late on, I think, or feel. And one of the things I've learned in recovery is it's all about emotional and spiritual well-being. And those words, emotional and spiritual, can sound quite daunting if we found ourselves in a place of absolute hell, where every feeling is unbearable, and the idea of spiritual has completely left us. But the truth is, no matter what we have been doing, we are always having a spiritual experience. The quality of that spiritual experience is dependent upon our ability to see reality as it is, and to engage in reality as it is, and to be part of reality as it is. These are just my words. This is what I've come to understand in recovery, and my recovery program is 1 day long. 1 day at a time, and the reason why is because we only live in 1 day, and to try and fantasize the future about being sober is as difficult these days as it is to try and make the future the way I want it. All I need do is live today, make the best choices I can with a sober head. And sobriety was something I really didn't understand until I tried it. So these days, 1 day long, being sober as best I can, and understanding my feelings. If my feelings fit my experience, then I've got a chance. That is, I'm feeling right in the moment of now. So when my feelings are outside the reality of now, I know either I'm overly upset or overly joyful when my feelings don't fit my experience. But you know, life is full of fun and sadness, happiness, sadness, joy, and whatever it can be on a daily basis. And these days it's quite hard sometimes to see the joy in life when life is tough. So what's made this possible? Well, family, friends, professionals, medical people kept me alive long enough to get to a moment of clarity. And my moment of clarity was simply, I cannot get out of this on my own, and I need help. So medical people kept me alive long enough, family loved me enough, long enough, and I found a fellowship, or it found me, and that fellowship is AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, which is full of unique, authentic people who speak about recovery where they will. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, never want to. It's not my job, and it's certainly not my mission, but I share about how fellowship helps me on a daily basis, so I share experience, strength and hope. So what is AA? I share the preamble, which is said at every meeting I go to, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, and that was the thing that got me. Eventually I had got a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. But you can guarantee that every single person who goes to AA does have some affiliation to their politics, their religion, other organisations or institutions. But we're there for one thing, sobriety. So we hear about what other people are up to and how they're affiliated, but the fellowship is not. And nobody in the fellowship is there to convert you to their point of view, except maybe sobriety. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So we need to be clear what a fellowship can and cannot do. It can help with a desire to stop drinking. It cannot fix you to stop drinking, and it cannot fix anybody to another person's point of view. But if you like their point of view, you're probably going to adopt it. But not around fellowship. Fellowship is for one reason only: sobriety. And the great news is you get to meet loads of interesting people, and I'm very fortunate because I have met lots of interesting people who I've come to be a part of in fellowship, to be included, to be a part of, not to control it. In fact, it's the very opposite of control in learning how to be sober. Once we realise we are powerless over alcohol and life is unmanageable if we drink, we then, having admitted that and accepted it, we can start on a path of recovery. And that path of recovery has a time scale of one day or one moment, because it can be in one moment that we can make a mistake or make a good, what's the word? I lost my words. A good action to keep sober. I have mental blockages sometimes at this time of day. So AA really does help me on a daily basis, and it's in the perspective of, if I'm sober, I can make the rest of, I can't make it. Life will happen, and I will be a part of it. I share here from the daily reflections, one a day, and December is all about the 12th step of the 12th step program for human beings to change their attitude and behaviour, to living well and covering our needs on a daily basis. And then I'm going to share a little bit from the AA Big Book, this one, after I've done the daily reflection. So there'll be a natural turning off point, if you like. So for December 22nd, in the daily reflections, it says this: principles, not personalities. The way our worthy alcoholics have sometimes tried to judge the less worthy is, as we look back on it, rather comical. Imagine, if you can, one alcoholic judging another. And of course we do. When we're new to recovery, we're of the opinion that we know better still than anybody else. So we sit there judging our fellows in the room or the meetings of AA. And what does that do? Well, it says here, who am I to judge anyone? When I first entered the fellowship, I found that I liked everyone. After all, AA was going to help me to a better way of life without alcohol. The reality was that I couldn't possibly like everyone, nor they me. So we do learn that, as in life, there are people we like and don't like. As I've grown in the fellowship, I've learned to love everyone just from listening to what they had to say. That person over there, or the one right here, may be the one God has chosen to give me the message I need for today. And whether it's God or good conscience that you hear in the rooms of AA, it's what you hear. And does it make sense? And can you adopt it, or can I adopt it as a way of, that's a good idea, I'll do that today. I must always remember to place principles above personalities, and often it's from the person we maybe detest most on a particular day because they're still drunk, who is going to give us the message of hope that if I don't take a drink today, I'm not going to be like them. That sounds a bit horrible, and it does sound like a judgment, but it's actually, do I want to behave like that and end up drunk? And the answer is no. Or do I want to behave like that person over there who is having a good time because they've been out, seen some people, done something which is of good to society, or just to a group of people, or to the one they love most, like kiss them goodbye when they go to work. All those things. It can be the very simple, small things in life which make the big difference in how we feel about our day. So, at the end of the daily reflections, I will share the Serenity Prayer now, before going on to the AA Big Book. To God, or good conscience, as you come to believe, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is just for today. And now on to the AA Big Book, and before I go on to that, I was very lucky. Somebody rang me up earlier in the week, and we have a common interest in stonemasonry. I'm not a stonemason, but this person is, and they have a gift, and it's a beautiful gift, and hopefully the result of that might be a very small article which I can get and keep or give away. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but there's no time scale on it, and it's just one of those things. And we had a great chat, and the beauty of that is to share the inner deep of ourselves about life. Just meeting over a coffee in a very cold place, watching the world go by, is absolutely wonderful. It made my day. So maybe small things please me, but it was a big thing for me, because to be on the same wavelength as another human being in the same day and just share time, and there's nothing out of it except friendship and a common interest. That's wonderful. Sounds like a eulogy, but some days are pretty awful for me. At the moment I'm okay. So AA's Big Book, the Big Book, and in chapter 3, more about alcoholism. The first couple of pages really do resonate with me as a human, and a human who's in recovery. And it says here, starts on page 30 in the 4th edition. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. And I do that every day. For a great many decades, it seems now. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoys drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death, or the gates of the intensive care ward, and a priest coming to give you the last rites. Even if you're not a Catholic, they'll still turn up and say, "Don't be so fussy." We learned that we had to fully concede our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. Step 1, admitted and accepted. I'm an alcoholic, and if I drink again, life will get unmanageable. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. In other words, rock bottom. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period we get worse, never better. We get worse, never better, and we think we can have another go and try it. And it's okay for maybe the first drink, and then suddenly we're there. We want that fix, and of course the more we drink, the less the fix. We are like men who have lost our legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances there was a brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. And for me the answer is quite simple. When you have an emotional and spiritual illness, our feelings don't match our reality or what we're experiencing. The feelings are outside, so we try and fix ourselves. And spiritual, living in the moment, is unbearable. So if it's emotional and spiritual, I don't know that there is a pill for that. And if you're looking for it, you've still got to deal with your emotions and your spiritual in the moment now bit. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. by every form of self-deception and experimentation over years and years and years, as many people will know around them. They will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about-face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people, but we drink to take our feelings away, and if we can't feel life in the moment, we haven't got anything. We're just deluding ourselves. Well, I'm deluding myself if I were ever to try again, and I quite like my feelings being right-sized for the moment of now. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with or without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum. And for me, all of those things I've probably tried without even knowing I was trying it. You know, I worked hard for 35 years, and I can remember many a Sunday night having poured away all the alcohol in the afternoon so that I didn't have any in the evening, and having a little snooze just to get over the overindulgence, waking up at maybe 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening and thinking, well, you know, I'm not so bad really. I'll go down to the market or the bar and I'll have a couple of pints and I think I'm going to be all right. But every single time I took a drink, in the end, it was about blocking out reality. So when I came to fellowship and it said, this is an emotional, spiritual, physical program, what did I do? I started thinking about it, trying to think, what do they mean by an emotional, spiritual, physical program? And you know, I was a counsellor for many years, and I always tried to help people get their feelings to fit their experience. That is, the feelings were equal to the experience they were having. And I overworked myself. I was a workaholic as much as anything, and the only way I found to switch off in the end was to take the edge off me. And of course, what do? We have a drink. So these days, with a bit of luck, I won't bother with a drink, and I will try and see whether my feelings are fitting my experience, and that is, it's second nature, and I don't even notice that I'm either happy or sad. I'm just experiencing life, and it is happy or sad. So my feelings are fitting the experience, and the experience is spiritual, the spiritual moment of now, our ultimate connection to reality. So every time I take something which makes me feel or fixes my feelings in some ways, then my experience is somewhat distorted because I'm trying to manage it. And of course the real way to live is free, making free choices in the moment of now, with due consideration for other people, of course, which is part of what we learn, to be a part of life, not control others, people, places or things, and live happily ever after in one day. So, as you can tell, I'm pretty happy this morning, on this December 22nd morning. The Serenity Prayer, which will help me at any time, and it's a prayer or a reflection to God or good conscience, because it is about your understanding of God, be you atheist, agnostic or believer, or changing your opinion on a daily basis, or simply aware that there is a higher good conscience that we all have, which takes account of everyone, and not just me. So to God or good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me is just for today.